A monumentous development in the Vince McMahon lawsuit, as the lawsuit is now being put on pause pending a non-public investigation, one that could land McMahon in even deeper trouble than he was here. We're going to talk about everything we know about the situation so far. What did the lawyers for Vince McMahon and Janel Grant have to say about the situation? All of that and much more coming up in this video. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Let's dive right in and talk about the news of the day. So, an attorney from the Southern District of New York today filed a notice of appearance, which essentially means that the lawsuit is being put on pause due to a non-public investigation that, again, could have Vince in a little bit more trouble than we thought. We're going to get into that part in just a minute. But essentially, with the lawsuit now on pause, we have heard from the lawyers of Janel Grant and Vince McMahon. First, let's take a look at what Ann Callis had to say. This is the lawyer for Janel Grant. Ms. Grant has consented to the request by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York to stay her case against McMahon, Mr. McMahon, WWE, and Mr. Laurinaitis, pursuant to a pending non-public investigation. We will cooperate with all appropriate next steps. So that is the lawyer for Janel Grant reacting to the news. We also, of course, heard or have a statement, at least, courtesy of WrestleNomics from Vince McMahon's lawyer. And it reads as follows. This is from Jessica Rosenberg. It says, quote, "We remain confident that the evidence will prove Ms. Grant's allegations are false and her complaint is nothing more than a fabricated vindictive narrative from a disgruntled former girlfriend." That is the lawyer for Vince McMahon. It is worth noting that as of right now, there has been no comment from the Southern District of New York. However, many people are asking what all of this means. Why is there a non-public investigation? Why is the case being stayed? Why is Janel Grant's lawyer cooperating? And the looks of this are, and again, I am not a lawyer, so I cannot give a full breakdown of this. However, given patterns that we have seen before and just following similar situations, this looks to be a case where the Southern District of New York has been investigating McMahon, and they are, it looks like the signs are there that they could be close to an indictment of Vince McMahon. And it was reported, I believe, just over the last few weeks that there was a case, there was an investigation going on by New York into McMahon and sexual misconduct. We have not heard much, or there hasn't really been much that's come out about that specific situation until now. And what this means at minimum is that there is a serious investigation going on, and essentially they do not want this lawsuit to move forward until that investigation comes to a head. And it could end with an indictment. And many people, as you've seen online, are already speculating that is what we could see. And if it is that, everything that has happened over the last 2 years with the original report from the Wall Street Journal and the sexual misconduct allegations, the hush money payments to McMahon retiring, coming back, retiring again, forced to go away, all of that would have come like full circle to a point where we could see Vince McMahon legitimately on trial as a criminal. We know that in addition to this, he was raided by, I believe, the SEC or the feds, I should say. He was raided by the feds, kind of in a case that was related to this, as there was an investigation going on. There is so much that is going to come out about this, you would think. And obviously, we don't know all the facts right now, but this does not look good for Vince McMahon in the slightest. And there are going to be people who still go out and defend this man to this day. that is their choice. However, one thing is clear, and that is that where there is smoke, and especially this much smoke, it is impossible to ignore the signs of the fire that are there. We will see what the Southern District of New York has to say, which, by the way, Andrew Zarian on Twitter reminded everyone that he's pretty sure that the Southern District of New York has a 95% conviction rate. So if that is true, and remember, the other thing to remember here is when it comes to prosecutors, especially, like this is more of a known thing. Prosecutors, especially ones who have like a very high success rate, like the Southern District of New York, they are incentivized to take cases that they have a higher chance at winning. And if you think that the Southern District of New York would potentially, again, potentially, we don't know for a fact, would potentially bring an indictment forward to Vince McMahon, not have their ducks in a row, and not have evidence to back that up, you are not only lying to yourself, but you are defying basic logic. We will see what happens with this situation. As of right now, Vince McMahon has not been convicted, or indicted, I should say. Obviously, has not been convicted. He has to be indicted before he becomes convicted. But he has not been indicted. As of right now, with the lawsuit being put on pause pending this investigation, it means that for now, he's not going to be locked up in this specific suit, as it is not going to move forward as of this moment. It will likely be picked up after the non-public investigation concludes and the Southern District of New York makes a decision. But this could land McMahon potentially, and again, we don't know the specifics of the case, but given that he is a very old man, it's possible that he could be in jail for the rest of his life. It is possible. And again, I am not a lawyer. I do not claim to be one. However, I am someone who is fairly good at reading situations and you know, keeping up with the news and understanding how these systems tend to work. He's a very old man who is accused of doing horrendous things. Many people would say that someone who is accused of that likely would be deserving of a long sentence. And one thing we know about the Southern District of New York, they are not opposed to being very aggressive in cases like these. So this is a massive development on multiple fronts because, like, obviously, like for WWE, they are embroiled in this lawsuit. For them, this is less of a concern from a legal perspective because as of right now, we don't know whether or not WWE is how involved they are in this investigation as far as, you know, their liability. We believe that, you know, McMahon is likely the main person there. But for them, this if McMahon is embroiled in a potentially a federal criminal proceeding, for them, that is bad because then that PR cycle that we saw before Mania is going to keep coming back because every time someone mentions WWE, there's also going to be the mention of Vince McMahon, those allegations and potentially this indictment, if it does happen, if it does indeed happen. We don't know yet. That is all to be determined. But again, this, quite frankly, disturbing situation grows even more and more by the day. It is going to be interesting to see what is outlined if and when the Southern District of New York does make a statement on this. But I guess we'll have to see. In the meantime, we will keep you updated on everything we know about this situation so far. Again, we've been following the McMahon lawsuit ever since it first was filed, and we'll continue to follow it as we learn more information. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Keep it real.